In this live workshop tutorial, whatever you want to call it, my goal, as I mentioned yesterday in a post telling you how you can monetize your bots, is to show you how to create a personalized product recommendation quiz in your bot. So an example of this would be, say that you have a bot that is oriented for pet owners, whether it's dogs, cats, fish, whatever the case might be, and you send out funny or cute pictures of animals from time to time to your users. So this is a beautiful way that you can use to monetize your bot by creating a creative quiz. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not the most creative person, but I want to show you the technical side of how you can do this to basically segment and personalize the product recommendations that you give users so it's the most relevant thing. If you don't sell pet products or something related yourself, that's fine. Get an affiliate link with Amazon, start earning money that way. Obviously, if you sell it yourself, that's so much better because you have higher profit margins, but this is the way to do it however you do it. So first thing that I want to do is open up the Chatfuel dashboard here, and let's start building this out. So let's go to the welcome message first, and let's just redirect to, we'll just greet the user, hi, first name. Let's say, would you like to take our quiz? Okay, so we are going to add a button here so it'll allow them to return to this quiz at any point instead of using quick replies. And let's say yes, and I'll use the green check mark emoji here, and we'll just give them one option for simplicity. Go away. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to create a new group, a category here for organization's sake, and I'll call this quiz, and let's create a new block here by just calling it start here. Cool. So we have this basic welcome message set up. Obviously, you can do this at any point in the bot. If your bot's main purpose is something else, obviously you wouldn't want to put it in the welcome message. But it says, hi, first name. Let's add a little waving emoji here for kicks as well. So, hi, first name. Would you like to take our quiz? Yes. Cool. So now it'll take us here. And basically what we're going to do in this bot is ask the user, let's say 3 questions just for sake of time, for simplicity, and then we're going to assign a numerical value to each potential option or answer that they could give. So you'll see this in a second. I think it'll explain it much more easily in practice when I show you, but that's the goal. Basically, for each question, we'll have 2 options, either an answer that corresponds with somebody who likes dogs or an answer that corresponds with somebody who likes cats. We'll assign numerical values to those answers depending on which ones they choose, and then at the end we'll calculate to see which one is the highest and then give them that product recommendation, sort of like a BuzzFeed quiz would do, saying, hey, you're more of a cat person, you're more of a dog person, and then give them that personalized product recommendation as a result. So obviously you can see the possibilities here are pretty much endless. Anyway, let's actually get into the build here. So for the first question, let's just add a text card, and we'll say, what should we say? What food do you prefer? Okay, so what food do you prefer? We're referring to cat and dog food. And let's add quick replies here. We could also do it with buttons because we're only going to have 2 options. But let's say, what do cats eat? Kibble, I think. So we'll say kibble. That's a distinctly cat answer. And then we'll say a bone, even though dogs I don't think eat bones, but I don't know. I'm not an animal person. I'm a chatbot builder. So that's what we're doing. What food do you prefer, kibble or a bone? And of course you could do this with tons of different options. I'm just showing you for the sake of simplicity how you can set this up logistically. So what food do you prefer? We could add an emoji, but I'm not going to do that. What food do you prefer? Either kibble, or we'll make it plural so it's consistent, kibble or bones. So now let's do this. So we have to redirect the user to a separate block before they can continue, so we can assign that cat or dog value. So let me show you how this works. And the first thing that we actually have to do up here in the welcome message, or we could do it on this block too, but let's create 2 attributes, and then we're going to set these to 0 just to initialize them, and you'll see why this is important in a second. So let's call this, we'll just call it cat for simplicity. So if they like cats, we're going to set this to 0, again, just to initialize the variable. And if they like dogs, we're going to set this to 0 as well, just at the beginning. And cool, so that's set. Now we have those variables in place. Let's go back here. And what food do you prefer, kibble or bones? So now let's redirect this answer to a block called cat, since that's the answer that corresponds with the cat category. And then we'll redirect this one to a block called dog. So, there we go. Okay. So now let's go to the cat one first, and I'll move this over so it's in order. And here we will add a new attribute, and we'll call it cat. So we're going to add the existing cat variable, which in this case is 0, and then we're going to plus 1 to it, add 1 to it. So this means basically the way that this works, why we have to add cat before is because we're going to reuse this block. And the importance of that is if on the second question we reuse it and they have an existing value of 1, so say that they answer cat for both questions, first it's going to say 0 here, so it's going to add 1. Their total score for cat's going to be 1. And then if they go through to the second answer, we need to have this be the 1 in addition, so it's going to be 2 now instead of just adding 1, which wouldn't work. So hopefully that makes sense. I know it's a little confusing. So now that we have that, we're going to do the same thing for the dog block here. And let's add a setup user attribute. And we're going to call this dog, obviously, and we're going to do the same thing. So dog, which in this case is the first question, dog is going to be set to 0, so we're going to add 1 to their dog score if they answer according to the dog category. So now that we have that set up, and this is a cool tip for you guys too, if you don't already know this. So you can add multiple blocks in a sequence here. So basically we're going to reuse these 2 simple score blocks for each question, so we don't have to keep remaking them. And then we're just going to redirect to the next question on this quick reply. So let's say, instead of start here, let's rename this question 1. And I'll make a new group here for organization's sake as well. Let's call this scoring, because it's going to increase or decrease the score. So let's move, actually, I'm going to be smart and save me a step. Let's call this quiz and call this scoring. And I'm just going to drag this here, because my computer's slow with streaming and everything. Cool. There we go. So just to give a high-level overview at this point so far, user comes in, we initialize these cat and dog variables. We greet the user. If they want to take the quiz, they go to Q1 here. And once they get there, it'll ask the first question. What food do you prefer? Cat, or no, not, never mind. So what food do you prefer? Kibble or bones? If they say kibble, obviously that's associated with the cat. They click that. It adds 1 to their cat score. If they click bones, then it adds 1 to their dog score. Now we have to redirect to question 2 here. So I'm going to click here and create a new block called question 2. And for the beginners out there who don't know what I'm doing here, basically this is just going to direct them to this block first. So it's going to add 1 to their score, and then it's just going to immediately send them to this next block, which is the next question. And let's do the same for dog. Cool. That shouldn't have done that. Come on. Let's see if when I go back it works. Okay, cool. So I think this part is pretty self-explanatory, and actually for visualization's sake, I'm gonna be extra and add a cat emoji here. And let's add a dog one here. Hopefully the quality on this stream is good, because like I said, my internet is not great right now. Cool. And again, you're not limited to 2 options here. You can do as many as you want, but for simplicity's sake, I'm just doing 2. So next question, let's say, dun dun dun, what should we say, what should we say? What sound do you make? And again, just to be clear, like these questions are not creative at all. It's just for the sake of example. Like you could ask so many other types of questions. Like obviously, if you're asking this to a user, you're not like, what sound do you make, meow or bark? Is just for sake of example and for simplicity. Because I know if you get into all the different specific use cases, it can get really confusing really quickly. So now let's say what sound you make. Let's say, I'm going to switch it up since I put cat in the first quick reply last time. So let's say bark and let's say meow. Okay. And then what are we going to do? Just like we did in the last question, rinse, wash, and repeat. I don't think that's actually how the phrase goes, but so for bark, we're going to send them to the dog block, and then we'll create another block for the third question. Okay, and then for meow, we'll do the same thing, but for cat. So redirect to cat, and then Q3. Awesome. So, dun dun dun. Let's add another final question too. So what did I ask so far? Food, sounds, both of them have tails, both of them have 4 legs. Are you big or small? I guess this is a good question. Can a dog be smaller than a cat? I would actually say yes, because I've seen pretty small dogs and pretty big cats. But let's say that just as a generic question. I'm trying to think if there's a better one. Dogs have whiskers too? They're just not as prominent? I don't know. So let's go with that. Yeah, are you big or small? Okay, and then let's just do what we just did again. Or instead of putting the answers up here, let's say what size are you? That's kind of a weird question, but we're going with it. Okay. And then let's create the quick reply. So what size are you? Big and small. And by the way, if you see me toggling off this text replies processed by AI, I just have a habit of doing this. I don't think it actually functionally makes a difference, but I do that because I don't want these to be processed by AI since I don't have any rules set up for them. But just a note on that. So what size are you, big or small? So big is going to go to the dog answer. And then since this will be the final question, instead of redirecting to another question, we're just going to redirect to a final score block where we will find their final score and then redirect them to whatever content is more appropriate for them, whether it's a dog toy, a cat toy, or whatever product we want to use. Okay, cool. So big goes to dog, small goes to cat, and then final score as well. All right, so that is all set up. And now I want to test this actually. So for the sake of testing, let's go here on the final score block and let's say, we'll do the cat emoji, cat score equals, and we'll call it cat. And then dog score equals dog. Okay. I haven't gone through this like super thoroughly in my head, but I think this should work. Because what we're doing is, at the very beginning, we're assigning the values to 0. This is helpful too. We need to reset them to 0 because if the user wants to like go back and take it again, then it's going to skew the results if we don't reset it. So that's an important note. So we set it to 0. They go through to question 1. It says, what food do you prefer? If they're a cat person, it goes to the cat block, and then to question 2. And so this will update the cat value that we originally assigned from 0. So it'll assign that initial 0's value that we set in this case, because it's the first question, and plus 1. Then if we go to question 2 and we choose meow, it's going to go to cat. And that's going to, now this value is going to be 1, so it's going to add 1, and this is going to be 2. And then, yeah, so I think this should work. So let's actually test it out and see what happens. Okay, voila, there we go. Hallelujah. So it says, hi Andrew, would you like to take our quiz? I will say, of course, yes I would. And then it says, what do you prefer? So I'm going to choose 2 cat answers here and 1 dog answer. So I'll say kibble, that's 1 cat answer. I will say meow, that's another cat answer. And then finally, I will say I am big, so that'll be a dog answer. Okay, so cat answer score is 2, dog answer score is 1. Sweet, mission accomplished. So now we need to use JSON. Sounds intimidating, right? But it's not. Pat Friedel, the JSON Emporium beast, has provided us with amazing resources that lets us do this, because you might be thinking right now, well, hey, I have these 2 attributes. We know that cat in this case is a higher value, so then let's just direct them to a block using the Goto block. Unfortunately, you can't do that, because if we create a Goto block here, you are not able to compare 2 values. So I can't say if cat is greater than dog, I can't do that. It doesn't work like that. So here is the workarounds, my friend. The workaround, my friends. There we go. So on this final score block, and this is just for testing, by the way, we don't want to, well, we can show this to users, but what you want to do then is go to Pat Friedel's JSON plugin Emporium right here. I can include a link to this in the comments, and you want to use this attribute sort plugin right here. So I'm going to open up the documentation that he has and show you really quickly how this works, and then I'll show you how to actually implement it. So basically what this will do is set attributes. I believe we will send it to this endpoint, this JSON endpoint in the bot, our 2 variables, cat and dog, and then based on the values associated with them, it will tell us which is the maximum, which is the minimum. Then obviously we can say, okay, the maximum in this case is cat. We're going to send you to the cat block. So might sound a little abstract now, but stick with me here, and we're gonna do this. So I believe for this we have to use post or get. It can be sent as post or get. Okay. So here is the URL that we send it to. And let's use JSON. Actually, I haven't done this in a while, so let's hope that I can figure it out. I don't think it should be impossible, though. Okay, so Brain Trust Interactive, that is the URL. And then I believe we need to, after it, add the values. So I've created this ahead of time, and I'm going to make it into a text block just so you can see how this works. So this is the full URL that we want to use, braintrustinteractive.com/chatfuel/script/sort, which is right up here. And then these URL parameters, which are the question mark and after, are what we want to add to it. So before we do that, let's actually pass in the cat and dog values here in the user attributes of this plugin. So that will send it to the server. And then in addition to that, we need to add it in the URL up here. So we'll say question mark cat equals, so this is the category that we're using, and then we'll add the actual number after it. And sometimes this is glitchy, so I'm actually going to write it down here and then just paste it. So we'll do cat, which is, again, the name that we're assigning. It's kind of confusing in this case because I named the variables the names even though they're numbers. So and cat equals, and we'll do the cat value. And again, this is the name of the category, even though this is called cat as well. It's the numerical value associated with that cat attribute. So in other words, how many questions they answered with cat. And then we'll do the ampersand dog equals the amount of questions that they answered with dog. So now I'm going to paste this in here. I included the question mark, so we're going to get rid of that. And cool. So now the way this works is, if done properly, it will send these scores and the cat and dog categories to Pat's endpoint here, and then it's going to set attributes in our bot with this min variable and the value and the max variable and the max value. So what this should do then, so I'm gonna actually copy these, and then after it, I can have it read out which is the max value. So let's say, we'll say you scored higher with, and then we'll say we'll just say you're more of a, and then we will want to use the max value, because that'll give us the category, or actually max variable. So max variable, and this isn't going to come up on the list yet of attributes since it hasn't been created from the server yet. So max variable, that will be either cat or dog. And then we can delete all this actually. You're more of a max variable. Then at the end, I'll say person. Okay, cool. And then I'll show you in a second how we can use Goto blocks, because this is just for the sake of testing. Then I'll show you how we can use Goto blocks to actually send them content depending on which they are, instead of just telling them what they are. So let's actually create a ref link here real quickly, just so I can go here without having to go through the entire flow again. And it should tell me the same thing. I have a score of 2 for cat and 1 for dog, and then it'll tell me, hey, you're more of a cat person based on the answers that you provided. So let's give this a second to load here. Dun dun dun, the moment of truth. Does Andrew remember how to send JSON properly to Pat's server? We will soon find out. I don't know why it linked me. Huh? Oh, did I not save it? Oh, I think I just... well, anyway, let's try that again. Because it just took me back to the beginning of the bot. Let's see here. Yeah, I think it should work now because it actually saved. Also, hopefully there are actually people watching this, because I don't want to look at my phone and mess around with the poor internet speed. Okay, so it just restarted and it took me to the welcome message, so then it reset. So actually I need to, and this is a good point too, because it says I'm a cat person, which isn't true since my score is 0. So we have to add a tiebreaker here as well, which I think Pat has built in. It just randomizes between the two. But let's actually restart this. Well, I can just restart here, and then it'll give us all the stuff that we need. So I'm going to do the opposite of what I did before. I'm going to say, give 2 dog answers and 1 cat answer. I like bones, and I bark, and I am small, which is the cat answer. So it should say, dog score is 2, cat score is 1, you're more of a dog person. Awesome, cool. So now that we have that set up, let's use the Goto block and show you how you can actually send users to that personalized product recommendation, because at the end of the day, that's the goal, that's how you make money. So we can say you're more of a, we can keep this here, but then let's use a Goto block, and we're going to use 2, well, we could technically only use 1 Goto block, but let's use 2 for simplicity. So we're going to add a filter and say if max variable, which should populate now that it's created, if max variable, which is either cat or dog, is, if max variable is cat, which should come up on this list, or only dog, because that's what I've activated. So we'll create this scenario first, then we'll create another one, and we'll do this if max variable is cat, which we'll type in manually because it's not created, then this is what we'll do. So let me wait for this to finish loading. Cool. So if max variable, meaning if they scored highest with the dog answers, then we're going to redirect them to what should the product be. We could just say, we could do a list of products too, but let's say squeaky, I'm trying to think what my dog has as his favorite toy. Squeaky bear. I think it's like this yellow bear that there's a squeaker inside of it, and he just like goes after this thing. So let's say squeaky bear is the toy here, And for cat, let's redirect them to catnip. And now if we were smart, this is another strategy for monetization that I mentioned yesterday. If we were smart at the very beginning, in addition to offering this catnip, at the very beginning of the bot, I'm gonna actually show you this because I think this is a brilliant idea actually. So we could say, hi Andrew, would you like to take our quiz? But before we do that, we could say something like, let me think here. So would you like to take our quiz? That'll be the second message. We'll add another message before that saying, hi Andrew, actually let's delete this and make it a user input plugin. And I know this is kind of like a side tangent, but it's another great monetization strategy. So let's add a user input plugin. And here, let's say, hi Andrew, or whatever their first name is. What's your, oh my gosh, my computer is so slow. What's your zip code? And we can save this to zip code. I don't think that's a taken attribute. Cool. So now what we can do is as soon as they get into the bot, we ask for their zip code, we save that attribute, and then on the final score block here, what we can do is, wait for it. So if they scored highest with cat, we send them to this catnip block, and then we can also do localized like business referrals. So here we could create a catnip product, which we'll do in a second, but then we could also add a Goto block that says if zip code is, I'll just make a random one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's the proper number of digits for a zip code. So we could say if zip code is this, and we could also do it according to city and all these other things. If their zip code matches a zip code of somebody that you've partnered with who has like a local catnip dispensary, then you could also send them another message with that content, with their contact information, a button where they can click to get directions to their address, etc. So we'll call this catnip dispensary. I think I spelled that correctly. So yeah, obviously this is a joke, but you can apply this to so many different businesses where you're referring business to a local service, or better than that, you could even take it a step further. And on this block, you not only provide this user who likes cats with this information, but you can also use the send email plugin to send to that local business's email, say, hey, this person with a first and last name that we got from Chatfuel, this person saw this. So then that business owner knows, hey, if this person comes in and buys from me, I give, a commission to this person with this bot because they referred that business to me. So I'm not going to get too in depth on that. Let me finish the actual quiz first, because I know, like I said, I went on a little bit of a tangent, but another great strategy that you can use. So on this final score block, again, what are we going to do? We are going to, as you've already seen, if they scored highest with dogs, we send them to the squeaky bear block. With that toy, if they scored highest with cat, we send them to that block with that toy. So I'm actually going to delete this just for simplicity, because again, that's like another added step. I'm not going to cover that extensively here. So I'm going to delete this as well. And then let's actually create the products. Now, I don't want to go on Google Images, get products and all that, because then I have to like go through all the files on my computer, which I don't want to do. But I think it's pretty self-explanatory how to do that, how to save images and upload them here in Chatfuel. So what I would recommend here is, we've already told them you're, a cat person or a dog person. So then on the catnip block, I would upload a picture of catnip here and say, catnip. And then I don't want to go on Amazon either, because I'm signed in and I don't want you guys to like see all my purchases and everything. But what you could do then is, say catnip, make it more catchy, make it more creative here, and then provide a URL, right? An affiliate link. Or if you're a pet store, then this is a great way to drive revenue. Obviously, if you're a pet store, then you're already making revenue with your business. You don't have to worry about that really. But this is a very creative option for doing that. So we have the catnip here. Again, we use an affiliate link with a button here. Or you link to your own product, or if you have your own inventory as well, you could just have it be a native buy button here in Chatfuel, send all the customer data to a database or wherever you fulfill orders, and you're good to go. You can do this all seamlessly within Messenger. If you want to take it a step further, again, like I mentioned, you could do retargeting. So if they get to this block, but they don't get to the block of a thank you message after they purchase, you can retarget them, 12 hours later, 24 hours later, as long as you're within that 24-hour window. So the possibilities, the creativity that you can have here is truly endless. Another thing that you could do too is using Michael, Lucy, and other people in the community's recent tutorials, you could use Cloudinary to dynamically add the person taking this quiz's profile picture to the image here of the catnip or something like that. So you could put, an image of them on it, or that's probably a little weird. So maybe say, hey, upload a picture of your cat, and you put that on it to personalize. The more personal touch that you have in products, the more people are willing to convert and buy them, right? It has more of emotional weight to that behavior, that decision to purchase. So again, I'm not going to go super in depth on this. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Add an image, add a buy button, either a URL or a native buy button. Do retargeting if you so choose. And then here as well, on the Squeaky Bear block, we add one here and we say Squeaky Bear. We can add a price here if we're not using a buy button, say, $20, which I don't think anyone would ever pay for a dog toy, but what do I know? There's some crazy people in this world. So catnip, we could say $5, right? So we got that all set up, and now let's do one final run through and show you how this looks from beginning to end. So, and again, look how beautiful this is. I've created a very simple yet elegant and effective quiz with what, 2, 4, 6, 10 blocks. The key here is using and reusing the same blocks here for the scoring. Otherwise, you go down a rabbit hole, no pun intended, of all these different numerical combinations, and it's hard to wrap your head around. So I'm going to test this one last time and show you what this looks like. So wait for it. Maybe I have to manually add the ref URL here. Should have just added a restart button actually. Or I could just type in quiz. I forgot about that. I set up the AI rule. Okay, so I type in quiz and hi Andrew, what's your zip code? Again, this isn't relevant because we deleted it at the end, but I'll say 12345. And then what's it going to say? Would you like to take our quiz? Of course I would, because that is the whole point of this video. What food do you prefer? I'm going to say kibble. So that means 1 for cat. I'm going to say for the next question, what sound you make? I'm going to say I bark like a dog. And then, what size are you? I will say, so this is 1 for cat, 1 for dog, and I am a cat person, so I'll say small. So cat should win. And yes, score for cat is 2, score for dog is 1. You're more of a cat person, catnip for $5. Affiliate link, bam, money in the bank, there you go. So this has been a tutorial on how to create a simple quiz in your existing bot or a standalone bot as well. A great way if you have tons of users to monetize your bot and basically profit at the end of the day. So take advantage of the existing users that you have, remove users who are unqualified, and do fun things like this, right? I've actually enjoyed this, and this isn't even my brand, right? This is just something completely fictitious. You can get so creative with this, add emojis, add GIFs, do so much fun stuff and creative things with this. Your users are gonna love it, and your pocket will as well. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, let me know or post them in the community, because I usually don't respond to these live comments because the commenting structure is kind of weird. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully this was of value to you. If you want to, I can maybe upload this to the template marketplace if it's something you would that would be helpful for you guys. Either way, let me know. And thanks so much again. Stay tuned, and we will chat soon.